Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are for another AFL 2022 season review. And in today's video, of course, we're going to be working our way up the ladder. So now it is the 16th place team, and that team this season was the GWS Giants, who after making finals last year had a really disappointing campaign this year. Of course, they also changed coaches because Leon Cameron in round 9 left the GWS coach. He didn't coach anymore, and of course they had their interim coach for the rest of the season. But anyway, let's just go ahead hop right into the GWS Giants AFL 2022 season review. But before, what are we going to be doing? So, of course, with the season reviews, nothing changes. We recap the season, we go over the ladder position, some highlights, best win, good players, some lowlights, worst loss, what's next, trade period and coach. We do know that, of course, they're on the hunt for a coach. Adam Kingsley is believed to be their next coach. And, of course, their trade period, we know that they are having a big exodus coming up. And then, of course, the recap and the final words. Going to start off with the ladder position and then recapping the seasons. Let's go ahead, hop right into things. So, the GWS Giants had a very disappointing year, finishing comfortably inside the bottom 4, finishing on 24 points and winning only 6 games, winning 6, losing 16 in another very disappointing campaign for the GWS Giants after making finals last year. They had a very disappointing season this year. Let's go ahead and hop into the GWS Giants AFL 2022 season review, looking back at their season. So, in round 1, GWS didn't start off their season too badly. They only lost by 20 points to eventual grand finalist Sydney. They played okay and stayed in the game for most of the contest. Then in round 2, they had a very disappointing outing against the Tigers, another team that don't like the MCG, and they got absolutely thumped by 36 points in that game. Round 3, just a win over the Suns. Nothing really to say. It was a really boring contest. They should have won this game by way more. They won by 26 points. Just a win for the Giants there. Round 4, they put up another very disappointing performance against the Dockers after travelling to Perth, and they were in the game for most of the contest, but then just absolutely shut down. Round 5 versus the Demons, they got absolutely thumped, and it almost just set up what a horror season it was going to be for the GWS Giants. And yeah, they got thumped by 67 points on a Saturday night at the MCG again. They don't like the MCG. They returned home to Monica to lose by 17 points to a pretty good St Kilda side. They put up a bit of an effort, and then they played a really good game, probably one of the best games of their season. They beat the Adelaide Crows by 59 points at the Adelaide Oval. They were unbelievable in this game. The Crows were in some really good form at the time. 3-3 to start off the season with the Crows. And then the Giants just absolutely came to the Adelaide Oval and absolutely put them away by 59 points. They smashed them. And they were 15-94 at one stage. So the Crows did make a comeback late in the game to actually get somewhat of a decent score. Talking about scores, next week the Giants managed to put up 35 against eventual premiers Geelong. Round 9 was Leon Cameron's last game as GWS coach. And that they couldn't send him off in the perfect way. But they did put up a bit of a decent fight in the end, though. They only lost by 32. Again, at the time, a very good Carlton side. And then with new interim coach Mark McVeigh, they started off their form really well with a 52-point win over the West Coast Eagles. They played really well against the Brisbane Lions, lost by 14 points at the Gabba in probably one of their best performances of the season, their best loss of the season for sure. And then they comfortably got over a very poor North Melbourne side at Marvel by 49 points. They put up another decent effort against the Western Bulldogs to lose by 20 in a high-scoring game. And then they lost to Collingwood by 11 points in the end, which was a pretty decent comeback after where they had been, how far down they were in the game. They comfortably got over the Hawks by 22 in a wet game. They absolutely, after that, all of their hard work of this season, they actually had a pretty okay season, and they had an okay run of form with a couple of pretty decent stretches, and then against Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval on a Saturday night, it all just failed. They got 29, they lost by 55, and they scored 59 against the Lions. Had a really disappointing performance there at Monica. They bounced back a little bit against the Blues, lost by 36, but again, another poor score. They got absolutely thumped by the Giants. Last 3 games of the season, they were really good. They actually hit a little bit of more form back in the late end of the season. got over the Bombers by 29 in a really close contest, and then they put up a really strong fight against eventual top 8 team Western Bulldogs at Marvel. They only lost by 5 points, and then in the last round against a pretty good Dockers outfit, they lost by 20 but did own most of that contest. Now their best win for the season, let's just go back. Essendon was a really good win for the GWS Giants, but I think I'm going to say for the best win that it had to be against, who can it be against? I reckon that win against Essendon was a really good win. I reckon the wins against Adelaide, GWS, and Essendon were some of their best wins they had all year. But yeah, especially that Essendon one really meant a lot later on this season. And Adelaide was really another good one as well, where they managed to really just blow the Crows out on their home deck. However, they really did have some horror losses to Sydney Swans, where they scored 39 against the Swans, 112. Port Adelaide, they only managed to score 29. And another horror loss was definitely to the Geelong Cats, where they lost by 53 and scored 35. And against the Demons, where they lost by 67. They had some really big losses in the season, did GWS, but those were their 3 worst for sure. So what is next for the GWS Giants? Well, at the moment, as things currently stand, of course, before the trade period is going to be starting, Bobby Hill wants to go to Collingwood. That deal shouldn't be no problem getting it done. The Giants they want a second round pick, and I feel like they should easily be able to get it. Whether it's I reckon they'll be getting an end of second round pick. They'll probably be wanting something at the start, but they'll probably end up getting something towards the end of that second round, which I mean, to be completely honest, you still got to take that for Bobby Hill. I think they'll be pretty satisfied with that to build up a really strong draft hand. And then, of course, with the moves of, who is it again? It is, Taranto and Hopper that are going to Richmond. So they want 2 first-round picks for both of them. But I feel like what Richmond will do is they'll probably just give 3 both in the same trade, which is probably how Richmond will end up smartly working that one out. I reckon one of those deals will probably get done. I'm not sure if they'll both get done just because of the asking price. Richmond might have to dig into their futures and maybe make a couple of trades prior, including Ivan Soldo, Riley, Collier, Dawkins that want to go to the Giants as well, could be a smart idea. And Tanner Bruin also wants to go out the door to the Cats. I reckon that's a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. He was drafted with a 1st round pick, but I reckon the best they'll get is probably a mid to late 2nd or maybe an early 3rd round pick for Tanner Bruin. He's talented, but I think that's the best they'll get. Of course, new coach Adam Kingsley looks to be the one coming over from Richmond to coach their side. And yeah, he'll be nice to have. But they do look like they're going through a bit of a rebuilding stage now, considering Hopper, Taranto, some of their best are out the door. Tanner Bruin, a really young star, is out the door. Bobby Hill, a really exciting small forward, is also out the door. They could get Soldo and Collier Dawkins, but I can't really see what sort of improvements they'll be making to the list. Yes, Soldo would be a good ruckman. Where does Collier Dawkins sit? I don't even think he would make their best 22. So I'm not really sure why they'll need to get Collier Dawkins. In fact, he probably won't even go to the Giants. If it's anyone, it'll probably be Soldo that will get there, and that could be just about it. But yeah, the asking price is definitely high for Tanner Bruin. For Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper. And if they can get 2 first-round picks for both of them, they're going to have a good draft hand. But again, though, the thing with the draft is you've got to be patient sometimes. You've got to give a few years for these younger players to build up, and then in a few years' time, they might be ready to come back and attack the top 8 again. But yeah, I think they will be going through a rebuilding stage. But look, they're on the right path, trying to attack the draft. So yeah, if you've got to give up some of your good players, attacking the draft is the next best thing. The Giants, very disappointing season, finishing in 16th position. They'd like to update in 2023. Massive exodus coming ahead. They are one of the watch teams in the trade period. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so then you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.